Let's learn about our pencils. We're gonna start going from dark to light. Here we have the 8B. B stands for black. It's a very dark and soft pencil. So let's play around and make some gradients and marks. So to start off, we can start by seeing how light or dark we can get it. It's very soft. Now let's see if we can go a little bit darker. So we push very hard, we can get it darker, almost like black. So let's make some gradients. Darkest. Ease up on the pressure. The thing about black is that it immediately dulls, and once you use it once, it's not very sharp. Alright, let's do some pencil flicks. Make some circles. So that is the 8B. It's a very dark and soft pencil. This is the 4B. It's really a mid-tone pencil. Do some light strokes. As you can see right away, it's a lot sharper, a lot less soft. Now let's push down as hard as we can. It's more of a dark gray. Once one side is dulled down, you can get a quite soft pencil. But while it's sharpened, it's really quite sharp. It can get as wide as the 8, but it's still not as dark. Now we're moving on to the 2B. This is quite a sharp pencil. So let's start by making some marks. As you can see, it's very sharp. Even the darkest lines are still very sharp and very clean. All right, let's make some gradients. It doesn't seem to have as much range as the 8B and 4B. That's why this pencil makes a very good base shade, because going from the darkest to the lightest, there's not that much variation. Once one side dulls, the pencil can be soft, or it can also be very sharp. This is our last pencil, the HB. This is kind of the hero because all drawings start from the HB pencil. So let's make some marks. Now let's see if we can make it darker. Pushing down, we get a kind of dark. It's not really that dark at all. And let's make some gradients. You can see it's very sharp. It takes a long time to cover the space. Even after dulling one side, it still takes a while because it's such a thin and sharp pencil. It seems to get quite dark, almost as dark as 2B sometimes, but it's just not, it doesn't have as much range, I would say. And there you have it, the 4 pencils we will be using in this class. Go ahead and play around with them and see the different variations that you can get within each pencil. And maybe you'll find one of them to be your favorite. In this video, we are going to be doing some warm-ups. So grab a black marker and let's start. To start, we're going to do continuous lines. Make a line and then do a few more. Let's say about 5. So we want to make sure that they're all the same length. Let's try that again. Now they're all the same length. We can do it the other way. Now let's do it diagonally. This time we're going short to long, trying to make a square. The next one we're going to do is a longer line. And when we're doing longer lines, it's less about moving from the wrist, and now we're going to move with our whole entire arm. So hold your hand comfortably and just glide it over the page. Now we want to make sure that our lines are the same length. You can see that I'm kind of hovering over the paper rather than resting my wrist on the paper. All right, let's do the same thing, but going downwards. You can see that these lines are a little bit wobbly, and the idea is you want to get them as straight as possible. That comes with practice and slowing down. Now let's do circles. Starting with little circles, try to make sure that you close them. Now we could go a little bit bigger. And to make an even bigger circle, we're going to have to do the same thing. Rather, hover your hand over the paper instead of resting it on the paper itself. Next, we can do a couple of different types of textures or gradients. We're going to do that by making the beginning super compressed and then slowly drawing out. So for example, say I draw a bunch of little tight circles. And then slowly, I'm going to start making the circles a little bit bigger until they get bigger and bigger and bigger. You can also do that with lines. We can do that with squiggles. There we go. These are just some fun little doodles that you can do to warm up.
This video is all about pencil control. The first exercise is pencil gradients. So I've drawn out these bars or these rows, and now I'm doling one side. I'm going to draw a gradient starting from dark to light. Start by pushing down on your pencil. Try to fill up this bar with a nice shade. And as we go further down the bar, we're going to ease up on that pressure and start to make it a little bit lighter. So you can see it's lighter, but it's still very obvious where that line is of where it gets lighter. So what I'm going to do is go back and forth over that line to sort of smooth it out. You're going to be going back and forth over the pencil that you have drawn. Don't push too hard, because if you push too hard, it's going to make marks into the paper. And then I do the same for 4B, 2B, and HB. What you'll start to notice is that the higher number pencils are a lot softer and not quite as sharp. You can see this 2B is quite sharp, and it's a lot thinner than the 8B or the 4B. And here's another exercise that I like to do using gradients in different shapes. So I will draw out a rectangle, a circle, or a cone or whatever, and I will draw an arrow that indicates where the light source is, and then I will shade it from dark to light. For these next couple of exercises, we're going to draw some boxes. The first is called the pencil flick. So I'm using the 4B. It's a little bit soft, but it's not too soft. Start by putting the pressure down and then letting it go a little bit. This makes the start of the line thick, and then it sort of tapers off and gets thin at the end. The next exercise is light to heavy. So starting very light or starting heavy, whichever one you want to start first. Draw the line softly and then start to put down the pressure. Every time I move over to the left side, the line is very soft and light, and anytime I move over to the right side, it's heavier and darker. Next are little spirals. So we're going to start by putting these small little spirals closer together, then they're going to get bigger and further apart, filling up the entire box. We're going to do the same thing, but now with short lines. This is practice for different ways that you can shade. Sometimes to create an interesting texture, you might need a spiral line, or sometimes you might just need a straight line. Or maybe to make freckles on the skin, you would put in little dots. So we're doing the same thing, starting with small dots and then moving on to bigger dots and filling up this entire square. The next one is drawing various lines at different angles. Now for this one, the line is a bit longer. I'm holding the pencil further to the back so that I have more range of motion in my arm rather than my wrist. So the motion of these lines is coming from my arm rather than my wrist. It takes a bit of time to control to make sure that you don't go out of the box. Sometimes you'll go over. This is a good exercise to control your arm when you are drawing longer lines.